another IBB pro who went so far as to getting a surgery because he wanted to have the Giga Chad look. It's messing up with, like, it's one of the greatest things to remember is that no matter how much better you end up looking, if you haven't checked on your insecurities, on your mental well-being, then you will forever be vulnerable to that. Work on that first and foremost. If I could put it that way. So obviously, for those of you who have followed me for quite some time and also have seen some of the more, let's say, fitness-related stuff that I've reacted to and or have talked about or made myself in the early year of the channel, I'm very much a gym bro. I enjoy fitness, and that's something that I always recommend people as just a great outlet for many things. Frustration, it helps a lot. Self-improvement, obviously. And all around, I want to say that the fitness community is about one of the most wholesome that there is. Despite how sometimes scary it may appear to a lot of people when they themselves try to get into their own fitness journey, it tends to happen that like a solidarity that you can meet with, you can get and build up with fellow gym bros and gym girls is pretty strong. And obviously because people are all there to like better themselves, despite what you tend to see a lot on social media, they genuinely care and want to help. So that's one of the aspects that I love about the fitness industry. However, a lot of this has begun to seem very toxic. Over the last few years, I don't know exactly if it's just the industry or the people themselves that are bad, but a lot of shady things are going on there. We had Liver King, so many others, the fake natties especially, who are lying to a lot of young men and are preying on their insecurities. As a whole, I think that since some of you, especially my subscribers who are following me on such things as Instagram, who have asked me for fitness advice, which I obviously want to share, I kind of wanted to share a video from a YouTuber that I'm subscribed to called Josh Brett that talks about the unrealistic male body standards that are deadly. And that is very true, since a lot, and I do mean a lot, of fitness influencers have, over the last few years alone, passed away. So this is a video that I want to share with you guys. So I want to hear your opinions in the comment section below, but first and foremost, let's watch this.
If you search Google for the perfect male physique, something interesting shows up. The same for men's health. This wasn't always the case. Now, let me close those tabs before I start getting strange looks again.
A thing that always happens is that you often look for exercises and or specific things that you want to improve. And like, for example, I want to have a better quad exercise, and suddenly you find yourself in like a rabbit hole looking at other men's thighs. And like your girlfriend, if you are not like myself in a relationship with somebody who's also very much into fitness, will like jump in and be like, why are you gay? But anyways, let's keep watching.
But many are calling this phenomenon one of the biggest threats to the fitness industry. And this isn't coming from people that just want an excuse to be lazy.
Unhealthy relationship with food.
Greg just
I
said.
don't court a banana. I don't.
Nor is it coming from the give yourself a hug type people.
Yeah, there, Cookie Monster.
In fact, the people speaking out are heavily incentivized to shut up and smile. And most do. But the more you listen, the more you realize a harsh truth.
For an increasing number of men and boys, this otherwise benign desire to be more attractive transforms into something categorically disordered.
That's the point. Turning it into a disorder, which is actually interesting because now
This is a systemic problem, too taboo for television. But
he just showed the image of Giga Chad. I wish that he had just had the still frame there, but I'm going to edit it in the video. But one of the things that I think that has contributed to it has been the meme. Like, GigaChad obviously has been used as a force of good. There's a wonderful channel that I will recommend for you to check out called Giga Cheddar. Last year, with the whole video game meme explosion that was going on, he made his channel and unfortunately no longer uploads stuff, but it was a lot of uplifting content that was helping a lot of people who wanted to get better, fitter and all that. And that was how he utilized the meme of GigaChad. Obviously, that's the positive side. On the flip side though, there are those who have abused it as being like this only look that you should chase after. Like forcing people to think that, okay, just going to the gym is not enough. Bettering yourself is not enough. You need to have like a one-digit body fat all year round. Like a thing that is so hard to maintain even for professional bodybuilders is something that's being pushed on younger kids, especially younger boys. And that's the scary part of it, when what is supposedly something positive gets just flipped with a meme even. It depends on what you define as dad bod. I'm 100% certain that he's going to show that video here, but there was a video of some girls being asked on the street that I saw on IG, where they called Chris Bumstead. But yeah, I think it was something more akin to this, off-season. They called this a dad bod. I rock around, let's say 12, 11 body fat all year round. I'm unlucky to not have the same amount of time to go to the gym as I used to, because now too I'm a father, so I can't be moving around as much as I used to. But if you're calling what I'm maintaining or what you just saw there, he has obviously so much more mass than I have, but if you're calling that a dad bod, then I guess
The human brain isn't built to recognize, often until it's too late.
No, there's no short secret recipe for it. You know, you just have to.
Don't do this at home.
I don't ever want to be in that good a shape again.
It's not natural.
There's not many
Yeah.
drug use or abuse issues where you get complimented so much.
They see it on the small screen on their phone, they see it on the big screen in Hollywood movies. It's in their hands when they're a f***ing toddler.
So yeah, I decided to start.
that spirit.
Don't compare
Thanks for
yourself
that.
to these people, because they're probably lying to you anyway.
You need to pull your head out your ass and understand.
It takes its toll.
It's not right, is it? I know it's not right, but I can't say for sure that this is going to stop.
So, how did body dysmorphia become so widespread and deadly? But more importantly, why are more people not speaking about this?
I think, to be fair, we have entered something that a lot of women felt in the past. Both fitness influencers and, of course, men's health and all that shiz. That pushing you to look bigger and all the time constantly shredded. Actually taking away the functionality of your muscles, because obviously they're not doing a lot of functional training at all. Achieving all the results through unhealthy means, and all that to maintain what this video will be calling unrealistic male body standards. Yeah, I just think that we are experiencing what some women have felt for a long time. Since we've ignored that a lot as guys, we've not been too open about talking about our insecurities. With our openness now, that's something that we are working on.
What is the perfect male physique? For me growing up, it was something like this. Health magazines suggest the same. Over time, this ideal has morphed towards something leaner and more muscular.
Trust me.
Hollywood films make this clear.
Yeah.
Similarly, with reality TV shows, female dolls are criticized for becoming unrealistic, but male dolls are arguably even worse. 1960s G.I. Joe looks like he's about to unveil the iPhone. 30 years later, he looks more like a bodybuilder.
I mean, to be fair though, the superhero physique is something else. It is supposed to be somewhat unrealistic. Well, depending on the characters. Like, I remember reading DC and Marvel comics always comparing like the actual heroes, fucking Batman, who's bench pressing half a ton. Obviously, Batman is not natty. Let's put it that way. But like those who were supposed to be grounded in reality, and like the mutants, for example, I would expect Wolverine to be built the way that he was because he wasn't natural. There was something special about him. So I accepted that his aesthetics was the way that it was. It didn't take away from my desire to strive to look like him. But then again, I knew subconsciously that it was not something that was necessarily achievable. But just striving for it was a good thing. If he's going to show a superhero figurine, I'm going to laugh.
Early Luke Skywalker besides modern Skywalker. Batman besides modern...
Here we go.
Batman. You get the point. If we ask AI to show us the ideal male physique, a similar image is painted. There's a clear ideal becoming more and more extreme.
Exactly. Wolverine should be getting so much beefier because he's basically tearing muscle fiber all the time and he's just growing back stronger. He has the perfect hack, and that's usually just every superhero that has a healing factor should just get stronger all the time. There's of course a limit to how much muscle density that the human body can carry. But if you actually are a mutant, I know we're getting into sci-fi territory here, but kind of need to answer the question here. So, yeah. But he can't overtrain.
So, what are we seeing here? These are the men of the Woodabee tribe, showing their slender bodies, white teeth and eyes in a beauty pageant to win the attention of the female judges. This is what the peak male looks like in the Bodai tribe, where the men compete to be the fattest.
The Bodai tribe, the way that they get to that level, the consumption of like a mixture of blood and milk. But that's beautiful for them.
Ancient Greek statues depict a lean, muscular body as desirable, while traditional Japanese culture associates masculinity with self-discipline, loyalty, and honor. To identify the physical ideal, we need to understand what beauty is. The Oxford Dictionary defines it as the quality of being pleasing to the senses or to the mind. And looking across different cultures, the ideal seems to vary and change over time. Social media and the internet have erased cultural boundaries and created a highly competitive environment where only the most extreme stand out.
Yeah.
This emphasis on leanness and muscularity isn't just a Western thing, it's gone global.
Indeed.
We are witnessing the homogenization of the ideal male physique, or some refer to as hypermasculinity. Even society's ideal men seem to be getting stuff done to achieve this.
There's been a lot of talk about, red pill and self-improvement, creating your hyper-masculine character. Looking like you swallowed a shovel is probably not the answer.
The psychology that was...
Another IBB pro who went so far to getting a surgery because he wanted to have the Giga Chat look. It's messing up with... Like, it's one of the greatest things to remember is that no matter how much better you end up looking, if you haven't checked on your insecurities, on your mental well-being, then you will forever be vulnerable to that. Work on that first and foremost. Like, looks are important, okay? Don't get me wrong. If you want to look good, look good. I used to be a marathon runner and a sprinter. I turned 18, started weightlifting. I thought that was a great thing for me. I felt good. I became more athletic, more stronger. And then one day I was asked by a friend, why don't you compete? You look good. I was like, dude, I have zero experience in bodybuilding. I don't know what you're talking about, because I was doing calisthenics at the time. But yeah, I entered a bodybuilding competition in 2018 and I came at third place. Completely alone, no trainer. And I felt to myself like a certain boost of confidence and being like, oh, my body has a certain potential. I actually look good. Like, I never worried about that necessarily because I was skinny. So I didn't need to think too much about certain things. But yeah, that happened, and suddenly there was a certain aspect of vanity involved in training, because I could look myself in the mirror and say that, yeah, there's progress, there's certain things that you need to work on, but overall, you're looking good, symmetrical, and all that shit. But that was not my priority. If you want to get with girls, forget focusing on your physique first and foremost. The people who are only with you just because you look in a certain way, they are not there in there for the long term. And hopefully that is the thing that most men are yearning for today.
Somehow would have led to this guy thinking he needs a jaw implant or something. I can't even fathom.
A self-improvement can absolutely go too far.
We aren't just talking Greek statue physiques. That was past long ago. From facial aesthetics to height and muscle definition, some of the methods men are using to achieve such ideals you might find disturbing. That smile you see is from a man who just had his bone shattered in a surgery to add 2 inches to his height. A painful procedure that more and more men are getting. Although Mukesh recorded the physical pain at a 9 out of 10, he stated it was less than the emotional pain he felt when people mocked him for his height.
We'll get rid of those love handles too.
Other men are getting abdominal implants, with some injecting oil into their muscles. Each year, over 2 million Americans have cosmetic surgery, a number that's rising, with many trying to achieve an instant boost in muscularity.
Total spent on my body modifications is $950,000 US.
Now,
and you see the dysmorphia where they lose themselves and they don't notice it. Like at the end of the day, they start looking like monstrosities. It's like they had a simple little improvement and then bam, it's all wrong. Same thing for the red pill approach of getting money. Yes, why always go to the extreme? Why isn't it just satisfactory enough for people to acknowledge that, okay, I need to better myself in a certain financial status where I can provide for my basic needs, for my family if I have one, and then kind of be content with that. And then of course, if you want to have savings for the future, go do that. But striving that, oh, you need to be a billionaire. If you haven't earned your first million till you are 20, then you're not worth it. Living isn't worth it. Then you aren't a man. Like, bro, what are you talking about?
People can do as they please, but for many, one cycle or surgery is never enough. Bigorexia is a dysmorphia people have, where they never see themselves as muscular enough.
Already, I'm very curious as to why my waist is thicker than usual. Upper chest needs work. Why is my waist so thick? My arms just aren't big enough in comparison to my chest and my back.
Brother, these are genetic factors. Reminds me of Pete Burns. Yeah. These are genetic factors that you cannot change. You can only add mass and cut fat. And of course, do the reverse. Like, if your bicep peak isn't right where it's supposed to be, if your chest isn't as large as you want to, yeah, sure, you can add some volume, but your symmetry to a certain degree, you cannot change. These are just things that you're born with. Just accept it and just be the best version of yourself. And this is a good-looking guy.
Of course, this can lead them down a path of steroid abuse.
When I was 15, I did something crazy that changed my life forever.
And with the rise of steroid-like compounds readily available to buy on the internet, many teenagers are shutting down their hormones for a more muscular physique.
Do I take any supplements as a 15-year-old bodybuilder? Yes, let me show you what to take.
I'm currently on 15 milligrams a day of Rag 140, so 25 milligrams a day of MK677.
You might argue
this should not be allowed. There should be a regulation for that. Like, you cannot in good conscience be sharing compounds that aren't made for human consumption and recommend that to all the teenagers.
These people are just morons. However, some of the methods used in Hollywood are also questionable.
I was eating so much chicken breast that the hardest part about it was actually chewing it all. So I would just put it into a blender, blend it all up, and just drink chicken.
In fact, to achieve his physique in Baywatch, Zac Efron was also taking powerful diuretics to dry himself out.
When I was done with that movie, I don't ever want to be in that good a shape again. Really.
I don't think it's surprising that many people struggle with disordered eating habits, like Freddie Flintoff, who developed bulimia.
I became known as a fat cricketer, really. That's when I started doing it.
Oh.
You put your fingers down your throat. As you gag, you bite into your hand so hard. The wrenching to get it out. It's not right, is it?
It's very hard to listen to pro athletes' stories because they obviously have way more pressure than the average man, because you need to have a certain weight for competition, and depending of course on the sport, and you need to perform in a certain way. So it's not just about looks.
I know it's not right, but I can't say for sure that this is going to stop.
If you can look past the airbrush marketing and Hollywood magic, eating and exercise disorders amongst celebrities are everywhere.
So if I'm gonna get a girlfriend, I gotta have a six-pack. And so I thought that if I didn't eat anything, well, I wouldn't get any fat. And then if I worked out a ton, I would get big and muscular.
Meanwhile, some of the biggest influencers are using Photoshop, Videoshop, and other deceptive practices to stand out on social media.
Here in the Western cultures, there has always been a tradition of muscularity, but in the last several decades, this emphasis on male muscularity seems to have accelerated.
No matter where you look, this can be seen.
Yeah.
Yet, nobody wants to admit it. So, where could this change be coming from? And what?
Social media taking things up to 11. Warped ideals. Okay, perhaps he's going to jump into it, so let's continue watching.
Could be driving it. Over time, the Hollywood portrayal of the ideal man seems to be getting more and more muscular.
So when I got to Orange is the New Black for the first shirtless scene, I definitely did some unhealthy crash dieting. And being in TV long enough, I'll tell you this is something that almost all actors and actresses do for these shirtless scenes.
They often achieve their physiques through aggressive crash dieting at the expense of their physical health to meet Hollywood's demands.
It's a couple hours a day, and it was brutal. The tricky part was eating.
The same occurs in Bollywood.
So putting on the weight was fun. I could eat and drink whatever I wanted and have a great time. And I had a ball. I have to say I had a ball. But it was also most uncomfortable. Even my wrestling training was affected because I was carrying so much weight that I couldn't really move fast enough.
This was the silver era of bodybuilding. This is the gold era. And this is today, with many bodybuilders displaying bubble gut.
You're ripped. You're huge.
Arnold had an interview where he talked on how these mass monsters who all have the bubble guts, that if you wanted to look at stomachs, then you should go to a nursery to do that. He was being savage, but it was, in all fairness, sure, his era too were abusing substances, but in comparison to the guys who today are dying at 40, some even younger at 30, he's still alive.
You look fantastic. No stomach, no nothing, no problems.
Because people do not come to a show to see bellies. And if they want to do that, they go to a maternity ward or something like that, and they can see plenty of stomachs there.
Columboism is a side effect of heavy steroid usage.
I'm not talking about my belly.
Probably don't need to tell you, a similar physical progression can be seen in reality TV.
Okay, Physical 100 is a Korean show. Might not be the best segue here, but perhaps it's just because I know about it. But like, these are the top athletes in Korea, and some of them were pretty damn skinny. But he's kind of being a little bit cherry picky here. But nevertheless, get the point.
Seriously? It's like you're photoshopped.
This is Jason Momoa, Aquaman. His physique, labelled as a dad bod. Same thing for an off-season bodybuilder, Chris Bumstead.
Can you rate this guy's physique for me, then?
Can't see him. Oh.
Part of me wants to put these warped ideals down to improving knowledge, resources, and just a natural result of increased competition. But the rise of cosmetic drugs, technology to manipulate videos, and the super competitive social media environment where people only post their highlight reels, it can be difficult to separate social media from reality.
Exactly. Just a healthy level of body fat. But no, that's a dad bod. Because they themselves, like skinny chicks, are looking at that with their own warped ideals of social media that they've seen other teen boys looking swole as, I don't know, an IFBB pro, has warped us the view of how the male body is supposed to look like. I'm a little bit fearful that this is a Gen Z thing. But I will give you an example. my girlfriend, I met because we are both like very much interested in fitness. So that was a huge part of the appeal to the both of us. Of course, we are very similar in mentality, so that also helps. But we have a certain event each year at the city next to ours. That is a port city where people go and party and stuff like that. So she was invited with her friends, and they celebrated that. And they were all asked, we were playing like a game on who has been with the best guys. Now, out of all of her friends, she is the only one who actually dates a muscular dude. A dude who's very much into fitness, bodybuilding, powerlifting, and stuff like that. Because they will never date a guy like me. They get intimidated. But they have told her she was picked as being the one who was with the best guy. Why was that? That was not because of my looks. That was because of my personality. That was the major factor into it. And she's also the only one who's a mother. So, go figures. So it's the thing that people need to focus on. They have the wrong focus. And I think that I kind of feel like some of us millennials have kind of understood that. But because social media is affecting Gen Z so much, that it might not turn out well. I'm a bit fearful of that.
But others have argued there's a darker side. You see, some people profit immensely off these warped ideals. An invisible hand. Sounds very tinfoil hat, but to understand this perspective, we need to go deeper. To the man who wrote the book on propaganda and shaped the world of marketing as we know it. 1920, women didn't smoke. It was extremely taboo, a masculine thing to do.
There's a taboo by men that does not permit women to smoke.
New York Times female liberation. I did not directly write about this. I had a friend who wrote about this, but I wrote that in the paper that she wrote. Anyways.
Either in public or even at home.
Of course, the tobacco industry wasn't happy missing out on 50% of potential customers. Everything they tried to do to appeal to the female demographic failed. They simply wouldn't buy based on rational reasons presented. The stigma was too much to overcome. When along came the young marketer, Edward Bernays, he had a secret weapon. Knowledge passed down by his notable uncle, the father of psychoanalysis. Sigmund Freud believed that much of human decision-making was driven by unconscious and irrational impulses, often resulting...
Well, Freud also believed that everything was kind of, to a certain degree, based on sexual frustration. So, I'm kind of measured sometimes when I need to consider some of his arguments, but fair enough.
...in excess and overcompensation. Bernays decided to apply his uncle's theories to marketing. He didn't need to appeal to the individual woman and the rational benefits of smoking.
Yes, Freud also believed that people want to bang their own mums. So, yeah. And it's actually... Thank you for mentioning that, Bonio. There is an insane amount of Freudian, or as it's called nowadays, but like Oedipus complexes in his stuff. The Freudian slip, yes. Just too much. I don't know why he has such a focus on that, but a man also like choked on his own tongue. Didn't he die of like tongue cancer? Freud developed a growth in his mouth that that later turned out to be cancer of the soft palate. Yeah, he was spitting too much bullshit. He died of a Freudian slip. Oh, okay. Sorry.
He needed to completely reshape the cultural perception of smoking. So he hired a group of women at a big event, told them to all light up cigarettes, with photographers ready to take photos of them. These ladies weren't just lighting cigarettes, but torches of freedom, demonstrating their ability to assert their independence. He had staged a political protest to invoke the right emotions in the woman.
Next morning, there wasn't a newspaper in the United States, even the New York Times had a front page story, "Debutantes light torches of freedom to protest man's inhumanity to women by a taboo against smoking.
It worked. Bernays would go on to use trick after trick after trick in the marketing and political world. He wrote the book on propaganda and set the path of much of the advertising you see today, with companies hiring psychoanalysts to capitalize on this new approach to marketing, a shift from need to desire in a post-war America.
Modern man quite often tries to work off his frustrations by spending on self-gratification. Modern man is eternally ready to fill out his self-image by purchasing products which complement it.
But that was just for the females, right? And then they needed a certain way to appeal to the men.
And what better way to improve one's self-image than through your own body? Vogue magazine invented cellulite, a perfectly normal thing, turned into a condition. Marketers went hard, tapping into the insecurities of women, driving the massive growth of the beauty industry. Buy this to be good enough was an extremely powerful message.
Is it wrong to give people what they want
Hydrochloride capsules
by taking away their defenses?
But much like with cigarettes, marketers realized they're missing 50% of their potential customers. Only this time, it was the men.
Nah, bro.
Much like with the creative marketing of lung cancer sticks, this is not always in your best interest. And after many iterations, these standards, what people want, has become more and more unrealistic. Advertising lives or dies by its commercial success, and insecurity sells. The human brain has evolved over millions of years and isn't built to deal with the rapid rise of the internet.
Yeah.
Whether intentional or not, the display of unrealistic and deceptive ideals in the media exploits our cognitive biases, often to the detriment of both mental and physical health. It's why some of the most mainstream fitness advice is the least effective.
I don't know who still needs to hear this, but you do not target fat around your stomach with specific exercises.
You can't spot reduce fat. Oh my god, how is that still a thing that people believe in? That's why I like, half the time I see like fitness TikTok, I just avoid it like the plague. I just keep on scrolling.
8 million views.
Oh, let's ask the average person what they think. Let's stop asking the average person what they... Do you know how f***ing stupid the average person is?
Average person applause.
This is known as the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people...
Do you think this issue is a reflection of the loneliness epidemic? Kind of. Kind of. Yeah, I think so. I mentioned just a little bit of that in the beginning, that I don't think that we've been good enough at like caring for each other, whether it is us guys talking to each other and like speaking about our insecurities, or women making sure that they listen when a guy is feeling bad. Like, I know that almost like every single month there's like a new study of how bad it is for young men out there. And of course, with that, unfortunately, many people are trying to politicize it. As some mentioned before, with the red pill, Sigma grindset of earning money. Some are going to use that if you are... I don't always want to conflate like red pill and being like right wing, because it's not always the case. But it tends to be a lot of right-wingers who are involved with that, at least those who are prominent, the toxic ones that just go too deep into it, who would politicize that and say and start recommending some bad things. And then you have all the liberals who just want to talk about some stuff that just don't always make sense, because it's like trying to one-up other people and just talking about freedoms. Sure, that's fine, but that's not solving the issue, because people literally need ways to to learn how to love, first themselves and later on other people. And just telling them how bad the other person is for like coming with criticism is not always the answer. There is this feeling of wanting to be desired. Obviously, we all yearn for that. There's a thing that I used to say to some of my university friends who would like party too hard. A lot of them were like starved of affection. That's the term that we use to some of the guys who like would once they sober up will come to you and be like super clingy because suddenly they wanted to share their bad experiences and all that. I was like, dude, you are starved of affection. And it was literally true. Some people just need to have a hug, somebody to cling to them just a little bit and talk to them when they come back home. And some, once they leave their home and no longer have their family around them, where else are they going to find somebody who want to cherish and support them? Some find that in communities, some find it in the fitness industry, which usually tends to be like filled with dudes that are trying to help you up, right? To boost you up, to uplift you. But unfortunately, once it takes that positivity and start cranking it up to, oh dude, now you need to get the chicks. Now it's all about getting that perfect physique. There needs to be somebody like in the group or the group as a whole need to tell you when to stop. Because sometimes, now way too often, some of them rely on taking abusive substances and pushing it too far.
People with low experience in an area tend to overestimate their ability or knowledge. Regardless of how smart you are, if you're part of the human species, you're susceptible to your cognitive biases being exploited.
Is he smart? No, he's a freaking good-looking dude, okay? And he's making extremely large amounts of money by saying stupid things that don't make any sense, but you look at him and you're like, holy crap, he looks amazing. I'm gonna do what he's doing.
This is why I never became a fitness instructor. I was asked this in my local gym, actually. Was asked, Jack, do you want to work for us? I was like, sure, that sounds attractive, but I need to take like an education for this. They were like, no, you can do some training for people, you'll get paid. I said no. I might have been good looking and might have known something that worked for me, but that did not qualify me to be able to convey information to other people and help them with their training program, at least back then. I was not knowledgeable enough to do that. Unfortunately now, everybody now who has like a slight bit of a decent physique can just step forward and be like, hey, listen, I now have a PhD in bro science and let me show you how you build this and this muscle. It's bullshit. And yeah, the halo effect, I guess, is what he's going to call it.
This is the halo effect, where people who are considered attractive tend to be rated higher on other positive traits as well.
If you were to look at this podcast there, is this some cheap shit, Joe?
No, that's the shit, bro.
You see that curtain down the back?
Fats and meats and never eating carbs.
Oh, he stole the Joe Rogan podcast. Oh, what a dick move. Yeah. And speaking of bro science before, Joe Rogan, who is like the administrator, top tier advocate of bro science. Because people are not going to be thinking twice about it. It's just that, and they assume that he's on the podcast. Clever marketing, but predatory.
The way that he's tried to mimic the guest position on Joe Rogan, you fucking piece of shit.
Social proof is another, where simply a large following can make a person more trustworthy.
Wow.
By presenting a certain body type or standard as the norm, marketers create a reference point that influences our perceptions of what is desirable. The anchoring effect. This and an array of other blind spots is what the media taps into. Often those people on social media, in magazines and on the big screen are just cogs in the machine. At the start, this was more blatant and easier to identify. Today, it's all around us, often with no escape. Don't get me wrong, I'm down for super effective marketing that helps people live healthier lives.
Healthier.
But no other industry has such a high failure rate while being so profitable. I can't help but think back to the many people getting life-altering surgeries, developing eating disorders, and a lot of the negative side effects we haven't.
I know. Whenever I hear anybody just like the newest influencer pushing up some BCAAs or EAA or whatever, amino acid to people, telling them this is the thing, this is the source that I've been using to get my physique. Like, when the thing doesn't even contain the micronutrients that they're talking about, like, they are failing upwards. It's unheard of, but it's disgusting. It's just like in the video game industry with people just selling loot boxes to folks.
Not even discussed yet. Meanwhile, obesity and suicide rates are on the rise in America. And a recent poll found that 1 in 8 UK adults have suicidal thoughts related to body image. There's a very clear disconnect. In fact, a Harvard psychiatrist warned about this over 20 years ago. I don't think even he realized just how serious and widespread this would become.
Adonis complex.
The many problems men have with their warped physical self-perception was grouped under an umbrella by Dr. Harrison Pope, the Adonis complex. Adonis was half man, half god, according to Greek mythology. Visual perfection, the god of beauty and attraction. Dr. Pope has documented cases of men quitting prestigious jobs, people smashing their own faces with a hammer to qualify for plastic surgery, and others dying from disordered diet and exercise regimens. Although these are extreme examples, this was over 20 years ago, and we've seen many more cases since. Pope suspects unrealistic standards driven by the media is what's fueled the rise of the Adonis complex.
Yes, I've done steroids.
But here's the catch. When beauty is so subjective, the ideals so extreme, the effects are fatal. Today's children are growing up with the internet as a constant presence in their lives, with little knowledge of a world without it. And the harmful effects of unrealistic body standards are evident through
That's what I'm scared of.
the growing list of casualties. I'm a 14-year-old and I'm thinking about taking 50 milligrams of Deca per week for 4 weeks. I know about the side effects on adults, but not in teens. Is there any side effects I should know? I'm a 16-year-old boy, currently undergoing cosmetic limb lengthening
Whoa, 6 months ago. That's Reddit.
surgery. I don't think I know what's best for me yet, but I absolutely cannot see myself regretting this decision.
Hold on. What did you say that in comment before that? Regarding the idealized end result, no. But possibly regarding if it goes wrong. Though, admittedly, I don't remember how common or prolonged or damaging the side effects are. Dude. That conversation, I'm sorry, but should perhaps be just shut down. Jesus. Yeah, it is that young, 16. Yeah, he's Reddit, man. Sometime that site.
Sometimes unorthodox and drastic solutions are the best ones.
What? Nah, bruh. Nah. Okay, at least somebody here. Anyone ever tell you that because you are 16, you don't know what's best for you yet? Yeah, I was still figuring it out when I was in my 20s and was still growing in college, so maybe I had a different outlook. Like, exactly. I'm not saying that people aren't suffering for disorders and all that. But don't go on Reddit and start asking for this. Seek a doctor. Talk to your family. Perhaps your family doesn't care, but seek professional help if you come to that level of actually wanting to have a surgery.
I'm 15 years old and recently found out about SARMs. My goal is to gain more muscle and get leaner. I'm 5'11" and 145 pounds currently. My main concern is whether or not I should take Ligandrol, considering my age. These are just a few people on public forums about to make life-altering decisions, with many going through with it.
So yeah, I decided to start trying.
Whoa, dude.
14.
What did you just say?
We're witnessing extremely young kids take puberty-altering performance-enhancing drugs, with parents suspected to be giving it to their children as young as 6 for a chance to make it in Hollywood.
There's not many drug use or abuse issues where you get complimented so much.
And even people trying to do things more naturally are suffering.
I know, I look like...
I remember seeing a video of that child there, the buff one, thinking that, oh, perhaps it's one of those cases of somebody lacking in myostatin, which is the hormone that regulates your muscle production, muscle growth. And no, it turned out that his parents gave him steroids. And then, yeah, in those cases, the parents are at fault. Just because they want their child to enter an industry. That's the thing that I mentioned before with the competitive athletes there. Like, oh man, the thing that people do to themselves and to their children.
Like complete rubbish, right? When you train every single day for like 2 hours, do a load of steps, get like 4 hours sleep, you have no team to support you, and everything is being done just by you, it takes its toll.
Loneliness. And he died. Oh, this video is a roller coaster, ain't it?
In life, there is this feeling that we all live with inadequacy. There is this call to achieve and to go beyond all expectations, to outperform other people, to measure oneself against a panoply of influencers and gurus, to work ridiculously long hours.
Scott was one of the more wholesome fitness YouTubers, doing much of the things we see Hollywood boast about. Yet, it seems to have contributed to his early death.
But I've set it up, you're gonna think I'm gonna blow up. Oh, shit.
I remember seeing a 19-year-old die of a heart attack in the local paper. 4 different steroids were found in his system, with a suspected enlarged heart a contributing factor.
7 foot tall teen. Beauty yes! My God, beauty pageants are, if I may borrow a Christian term here, are the work of the devil. Parents need to be stopped. We were shown at school, what is it called? The one movie there with the cross country, the parents or the family going cross country to help the little girl attend a beauty pageant. Little Miss Sunshine, that's the one that I'm thinking about. I was, now they made fun of the whole thing in this, but this was my first exposure to this. We were shown this like in primary school, and I was like, what the fuck is this thing? What are you doing to kids? But now it's the dude's turn to do this. It's terrible.
Similarly to bodybuilder Dallas McCarver, who collapsed on stage, recovered, and sadly passed away with a heart.
Why they showed this to us in school? I think to traumatize us.
Almost 3 times the size it should have been.
A lot of people are speculating how much testosterone was this guy actually injecting to get a 55,000 nanogram per deciliter total T.
There's tributes on YouTube for all of the bodybuilders who pass away. Each year, the age is getting lower.
Someone is literally going to have to die on stage before something changes in bodybuilding.
Maybe these are extreme cases, but if you actually listen to what the very celebrities many look up to are saying, a very different side gets presented.
It's hard to look like, even if you do work out, to be that kind of in shape is not natural.
The way they achieve their rapid transformations is often highly unsustainable.
For guys, that's unrealistic, I'm telling you.
Zac Efron actually went through a phase of depression and insomnia after his brutal drug-assisted Crash Baywatch regimen. Channing Tatum, Luke Jackson, Ed Sheeran, Tyson Fury developed eating disorders and are warned about their unsustainable practices.
I started noticing it for the first time when I just started rebelling against a gym.
And these people have the top coaches and doctors at their side.
Truly, I don't know how people that work a 9 to 5 actually stay in shape because it's my full-time job and I can barely do it.
When studies are suggesting the majority of men are now displaying signs of body dysmorphic disorder, it's an issue that's hard to ignore. But because
54% display signs of that, compared to 49% of women. Damn. We surpassed the ladies once more. Number 1. Okay, sorry. This is terrifying.
Because of a stigma, speaking about this, seeking help, or even thinking about it is seen as weak, with many willing to end their lives or pin themselves because help isn't as macho. And even those who look the best aren't immune to this, because everything is subjective.
I look like a normal, reasonable human being with like an acceptable amount of like muscle tone, right? But still in my head, there was like this crazy just distortion, body dysmorphia.
This doesn't mean you shouldn't find people in great shape motivating. Just that even your favorite idols get older and struggle with these things. Yet,
when I look in the mirror, I thought, wow, okay. Seriously? okay, this is something I wouldn't have believed would ever happen if I didn't read it. Damn. See, even Arnold has insecurities.
It doesn't get much coverage because it's not as glamorous. Resistance training and having high goals isn't inherently pathological. I have respect for anyone who achieves an impressive body transformation, especially if done honestly. However, unrealistic body standards can have deadly consequences, regardless of where you think this stems from. Many point to Hollywood actors, supplement companies, dolls and clothing companies. I get why some people want to see the fitness industry burn to the ground, but pitchforking individuals and stealing kids' Power Rangers probably isn't the answer.
It's just a doll. It's just a stupid little plastic doll.
Nor is polarizing people with men or women have it worse arguments.
Yeah.
There is no them and us. The market decides what sticks, so mass awareness is a big part of the solution. You vote with your money and
Capitalism,
attention. This
again, is
isn't
the
necessarily
problem.
better than this, nor is this than this, and definitely not this or this. It's up to you to discover what you really want, and not have others decide this for you. Dr. Pope suggests the following as potential outlets if you get caught up. Personally, I still go to the gym. While I'll never look crazy, it's been very satisfying to get closer to a goal that I had as a kid, especially considering I don't think it's an unhealthy obsession anymore.
Yeah.
Ironically, with progress being the best, once I chilled out and focused on other things. I realized the hard way that looking good means nothing if you don't feel good. If you ever tried to get in shape, please understand this. It's all I'm trying to get across to the video.
It's a lifestyle. It should be sustainable. So you should at least feel good in the process. Like, there's nothing better for me. Like, I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I go to the gym. That's like my routine. It's just super ingrained in me. Like, it gives me energy when I start the day. Yes, usually one get drained after going to the gym, but that's like a routine that I have, and I can do my lift. I don't just do cardio. I actually lift in the morning. Like, that's when I'm the most energetic. It's weird, but like, I've wired myself to find something that is super pleasant to me. It's something that's enjoyable. And I think that should be the byproduct of you going to the gym, feeling better. That should be at least the most, I was thinking in Danish there, should be the priority.
I don't often ask, but sharing this video wherever you can would really help a lot.
Yeah, I know, I was joking.
Self-improvement is supposed to enhance yourself as a person, not replace yourself. So, the perfect male physique, based on the evidence, it never existed. It's what you believe it is. I just hope trying to get there for you isn't as deadly as it's been for so many people. Hey everyone, so if you like this video, we're currently working on plenty more. So if you want to be notified when they're out, then please subscribe.
Yep, this already am. But yeah, essentially, this was the video that I wanted to share with you. And I'm glad that you were also very engaged in this conversation, because I think that that's something that, yeah, more guys need to be talking about. And like, it's a base, like, bare minimum thing. Like, I remember there was a review from Seth who talked about, which game was it? Yeah, Illegitimate Offspring.
Well, primarily to humiliate the sponsor, but no, I did have a reason. Maybe in our fear and stigmatization of homosexuality, we as men have lost something in the process. The ability to stand up and proclaim our love for one another as friends and comrades. We're so scared of how we appear, we've reduced ourselves to emotionally stunted husks. Look, I'm not here to preach, but maybe if each of us told another homie that we genuinely care about them, maybe we would not be half as depressed and pathological as we are right now. It's easy to forget yourself. I've been there many times, and each time the pit is just as empty and bottomless as it was before. In my paralysis, it is only because of the people closest to me that I remind myself I can climb out of it.
Yep. Kiss a homie. Become more homosexual. I love it when you get a message like this, especially from like a popular YouTuber, just to remind people just to be kind to each other.